Hey everyone, ready to dive into some serious workout motivation?
Let's do it.
We're tackling Michael Matthews' The Little Black Book of Workout Motivation, and I gotta say,
hmm
it's way more than just, those typical get pumped speeches.
It really is. It's like
Yeah.
he gets why we struggle with this stuff,
Right.
and then he gives you actual tools to like break those patterns.
Exactly. He starts with the why, which I think is so important. Now,
Absolutely.
people kind of miss that step a lot.
For sure. They think it's just about willpower, just got to push harder.
Yeah.
But this book digs deeper. Like
Mm.
he tells this story about Jennifer, this woman super successful.
Okay.
She
Yeah.
kept setting these fitness goals,
Mm-hmm.
couldn't stick with them.
Makes sense.
And it's a good example because I think a lot of people think motivation alone enough.
Oh, totally. I've been there.
But what's fascinating is Jennifer finally realizes her desire for fitness. It goes beyond just looking good.
Right. It was tied to feeling stuck, like she wasn't reaching her potential.
Yeah, and wanting to feel more confident in like all areas of life, not just the gym.
So it's not just physical.
Nope. The book even shares Michael Matthews' own why, which is like
Oh, interesting.
feeling better, having more energy,
Yeah.
achieving other goals more easily, being the type of person, he admires.
That's a good one. So we're thinking about our why, but then, oh boy, Matthews hits you with sacrifice.
He does. He goes right there.
He tells a story about Gary Player, the golfer, hitting balls till his hands bled.
Ooh, that one always stays with me because it totally debunks that myth that success is effortless,
Mm-hmm.
which so many people buy into. And it's true for anything you want to achieve.
Yeah, it's like, remember that marshmallow test they did with kids, the ones who could wait to eat it?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Ended up doing better later in life.
Delaying gratification, that's the key.
So, okay, we're ready to sacrifice. We got our why. What about the goals themselves? Matthews gets pretty specific.
He does, because a lot of people set these vague goals like lose weight, get fit. Those aren't actionable.
Right. It's like, how do you even measure that?
Exactly. He talks about this study with college students, the ones who wrote down their goals,
Oh, I think I remember this one.
clarified them, made a plan. They did way better academically.
So specificity is key.
Big time. But he also wants you to think beyond just what you want. Consider the effort, maybe even the pain to get there.
Ooh, that's a good point. We get excited about the goal, but are we ready to work?
Right. And then there's this idea of goal competition, which is,
Goal competition. My goals are like fighting each other.
it's more like you only have so much time and energy, right?
Yeah.
Going after too many goals at once can actually hurt your progress.
So prioritize.
He has this Buffett 2 list exercise to figure out your top 5.
Love that one. Forces you to choose what really matters. Health, work, relationships, all of it.
And speaking of choices, that's where systems come in. Big idea in this book. He's saying,
Okay, systems. I need a spreadsheet or something.
not exactly. Think of it like a framework for making those good choices, even when you're not motivated.
So it's like, takes the pressure off my willpower.
Right. Like he uses systems for weight loss, even for reading more books.
Okay, interesting. But how do I build one that actually works?
So he's got this 3-part formula, and the first part's all about being specific. The what, when, where, if, then.
I'm intrigued. If then, like, if I crave pizza, then.
Exactly. He even mentions a study where people who use this if-then planning, they were way more likely to exercise.
So anticipate those obstacles ahead of time.
Brilliant. Right. And then part 2 of the formula is shut up until you've put up.
Oh man, I'm so guilty of announcing goals and then nothing. Why is this step important?
Because it's about the psychology. You find satisfaction in actually doing the work, not just talking about it.
Let the action speak. I like it. And the third part.
Let's get accountable.
Yeah.
He's big on accountability partners. Even suggests like fear-based consequences if you don't follow through.
Oh, wow. Okay. I can see how that'd work. But I gotta ask, we've got our why, goals, systems. What happens when motivation just dips?
That's where doing the work comes in. He has a whole section on this. And he's honest. He's like, everyone has bad workouts,
Even fitness gurus.
even them.
Mm.
He talks about pushing through those tough workouts. Introduces this concept from Stephen Pressfield, resistance.
Resistance. Like there's a force field keeping me from the gym.
More like that voice that says, skip it today.
Oh, I know that voice.
And he's saying, that voice, it's often trying to stop you from the work that matters most.
Deep. So by pushing through, I'm building more than just muscles.
Exactly. Discipline, resilience, that feeling of overcoming a challenge. It's powerful.
Makes sense. But what about those times when it's more than just resistance, like those I can't moments?
He tackles that head on. He's
Yep.
all about cultivating that can-do spirit and overcoming excuses
So take responsibility.
and refuse to be a victim. He shares these inspiring stories, like James Kasaga Arinaiwe.
The boy who sold his goat for education.
Yeah, he's like the definition of refusing to be held back by circumstances.
And what about Alexander Solzhenitsyn? Finding meaning in his suffering. Talk about inspiring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He shows we have the power to choose our response, no matter what.
Tom Ford's story really stood out to me, too.
Oh, yeah.
He was so dedicated to his goals, a good example of what hard work can do, plus pushing past your comfort zone, like never giving up.
And Matthews ties that into Jesse Itzler's experience with David Goggins, the 40% rule.
Goggins. The guy's a machine. What's the 40% rule?
It's this idea that when we think we're at our limit, we're actually only 40% there.
Whoa! Seriously, so I'm way stronger than I realized.
You are. It's about challenging those beliefs and pushing past them, realizing your mind often gives up before your body.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. So training my mind like I train my body, it's all connected.
It is. But hey, we've covered a lot here.
We have. Maybe it's time for a break before we go even deeper. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Uh.
We've laid the groundwork from finding your why to building systems, challenging those I can't thoughts.
We'll be back soon to dive into mindset and how it can make or break those fitness journeys.
Can't wait. You know, when we think about fitness goals, we usually think about like individual effort, right?
Yeah, it's all about me, myself, and I hitting the gym, pushing myself.
Right. But Matthews brings up this idea that our relationships actually play a huge role.
Oh, that's interesting. I've definitely noticed that when my friends are into like healthy living, it's easier for me to stay on track too.
Exactly. And he talks about this fascinating study, the Harvard Grant study, where they followed
Ooh, what's that?
these Harvard guys for like 75
In
years.
75 years. That's like their whole lives. What did they learn after all that time?
Well, the biggest thing that predicted their happiness, their well-being,
Okay, I'm curious now.
wasn't wealth, it wasn't fame, it wasn't even good health.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what was it then?
The warmth of their relationships.
Wow, that's powerful. So strong connections really do matter, not just for, feeling good, but for our physical health too.
Totally. There's that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Right.
Matthews even points to research that shows this, like with health habits. People with obese friends or family,
Wow, it's scary.
they're more likely to become obese themselves.
It's like our social circles are kind of a blueprint for our behaviors.
Exactly. So think about it. If everyone around you is ordering pizza and wings,
Oh man, I love pizza.
it's going to be harder to stick to your salad, right?
Yeah, temptation is real.
But on the flip side, when your friends support your fitness goals, it's like having a built-in cheerleading squad.
Yeah, it's so much easier when you have people cheering you on.
Exactly. And Matthews also talks about the importance of giving back, like helping other people with their fitness journeys.
That's a good point. So it's not just about getting support, it's about giving support too.
It's like that African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
I love that. And it's a good reminder that even people who seem like they're self-made, they've had help along the way.
Totally. Like Matthews quotes Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about the myth of the self-made man.
Even the Terminator had help.
Exactly. It's good to acknowledge that we all need support sometimes.
So we've talked about finding our why,
Mhm.
embracing sacrifice, setting goals, systems, doing the work, and now the importance of relationships.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's really painting a bigger picture of what it takes to achieve those goals.
It's definitely more than just willpower or following a strict diet.
Absolutely. This deep dive is showing me it's about understanding the whole psychology behind motivation,
Right.
building a supportive environment, using all the resources we have.
It's like a journey of self-discovery, right?
Oh,
Both physically and mentally.
totally. This is fascinating stuff. Matthews blends science and personal stories and even philosophy.
It makes it all come together, yeah.
But before we jump into the next part of our deep dive, I'm curious, if you could sum up all this wisdom into one key takeaway, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's tough to choose just one, but I think for me the core message is this. Doing the work trumps motivation every time.
I love that. Doing the work trumps motivation. Because we can wait around forever for that perfect motivation to hit.
Yeah, and it might never come.
Exactly. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it, putting in the effort, and trusting the
The
process.
results will follow. What about you? What stands out to you as like the most valuable insight from what we've talked about so far?
For me, it's the reminder about relationships. We really aren't meant to do this alone. Having people who support us, it makes all the difference.
Absolutely. Celebrating victories together, offering encouragement when things are tough.
It's about recognizing that real strength, it comes from connection and support.
Well said.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, exploring the power of systems, the importance of doing the work, and now the incredible influence of our relationships.
It's clear that fitness goals, they're not just about pushing our bodies.
Right. It's about that growth mindset, resilience, connection, all of it.
Exactly. But, there's one more aspect of workout motivation that we haven't touched on yet.
Oh, I'm all ears. What is it?
The role of mindset.
Mindset.
Specifically, how our thoughts and beliefs, they can either push us forward or hold us back. It's like the inner game of fitness.
Oh, wow. I can see how our thoughts would have a huge impact on our actions. Matthews talks about that too,
He
right?
does. He dives into the whole can-do spirit, overcoming excuses. Because it's easy to let those negative thoughts creep in.
Oh, yeah. Self-doubt is a real struggle.
But he offers strategies for shifting our thinking, creating a more empowering mindset.
That's what I need.
It's all about mastering that mental game.
Can't wait to dive into that. Okay, so let's talk mindset. Matthew says it can be a real battlefield sometimes.
Oh, yeah, it's that constant back and forth, can do versus I can't.
But like you were saying, we can train our minds, just like our bodies.
Exactly, it's a muscle.
Hmm.
So what does that can-do spirit actually look like in real life?
I'm picturing like battle armor, ready to crush my goals, haha. But really, what are we talking about here?
It starts with taking responsibility. 100%. Matthews brings up that story of James Kasaga, Aranightway.
The boy from Uganda.
Yep, sold his goat to pay for school.
Wow, yeah. That's a powerful example of what Matthews is getting at.
Totally. He had a goal, and he didn't let anything stop him. No excuses.
And then there's Alexander Solzhenitsyn, right? Finding meaning in, like, serious suffering.
As a political prisoner, yeah.
Yeah.
He refused to be a victim.
Mm.
Both these stories show that even when things are tough,
Mm-hmm.
we get to choose how we respond.
It's all about mindset.
Hmm.
And thinking about Tom Ford, embracing hard work seems like a big part of this, too.
He's a great example. He wasn't afraid to put in the effort, get uncomfortable to reach those goals.
And then there's a 40% rule, right, from David Goggins.
Oh, yes. That one's a game changer. When we think we're maxed out, we're actually only at 40%.
Whoa, are you serious? I have way more in me than I think.
Way more. Your mind quits before your body does, almost every time. It's about challenging those limits.
So train my mind to be as tough as my body, got it. But those I can't thoughts, they're so sneaky.
Matthews has a trick for those. He says turn I can't into I don't want to.
Interesting. So instead of I can't work out today, it's I don't want to work out today.
Yep. Subtle shift, but powerful. Now it's a choice. You're in control.
I like that. It's like taking back my power. But speaking of choices, Matthews also talks about optimism and pessimism, which...
Yeah, it's not about being rah-rah positive all the time.
Exactly. He cautions against that blind optimism, right?
He does. He tells the story of those prisoners of war at the Hanno Hilton.
Oh, yeah. The ones who were so sure they'd be released by a certain date and then...
It didn't happen, and many of them, sadly, they just gave up.
Heartbreaking. So how do we balance that? Hope without setting ourselves up for disappointment.
He calls it flexible optimism. Be positive, but also, acknowledge challenges.
So be prepared for things to go wrong, but don't let it derail you.
Exactly. But there's also this idea of productive pessimism.
Wait, productive pessimism? How does that even work?
Think of it like assessing risk. What's the cost of failure here?
Okay, like a mental checklist. If the stakes are high, maybe I need to be a bit more cautious.
Exactly. Prioritize your efforts. Focus on what matters.
Yeah.
Pessimism can be a tool, not just a downer.
This is making so much sense. It's not about being blindly positive or letting negativity win. It's about finding that balance.
That flexible optimism that lets you be hopeful, A&D strategic. And remember, your mindset, it's not set in stone.
Oh, good point. So it's a skill. I can work on this.
Absolutely. Just like building muscle, you train your mind to be positive, to bounce back, to focus.
I love that. This whole deep dive has been incredible.
It really has.
We've talked about finding our why, sacrifice, setting goals, building systems, doing the work, dealing with those I can't thoughts.
The power of relationships, too. Don't forget that.
Oh, right. And now mindset, it's like a whole new way of looking at fitness.
It goes so much deeper than just the physical stuff.
Right.
It's about becoming the best version of yourself.
I love that. We have the power to shape not just our bodies, but our minds, our lives.
And it's all within our reach. With the right mindset, the right strategies, and the right support, anyone can achieve their goals.
Absolutely. As we wrap up, I want to leave everyone with this question. What one small step can you take today to put all this into action?
Maybe it's writing down your why, setting a specific goal, finding a workout buddy, committing to just one workout this week.
It all starts with that first step. Take it today and watch the ripple effect it creates in your life.
Keep diving deep, keep pushing yourself.
See you on the next deep dive.
See ya.
Thanks.